I'm the parent of 5 children, and I know best. To say that I don't know best is offensive, and it is a lie from the pit of hell. In 1989, my 18-month-old child was exposed to Dursban 2E, chlorpyrifos, a neurotoxin. And she went into grand mal seizures. And we took her to the hospital. And she was put on phenobarbital. And she was told, or we were told as parents, that she would never recover. And that she had only a few weeks to live because her liver was so irreparably damaged from the bug spray that was used in our home. And we took her to specialists in Chicago and in St. Louis. And we took her and conferred by phone with specialists in Dallas. And we were told the same thing. Your daughter is going to die. And I said, I have a little experience. I know a little bit from being a chemical warfare officer in our battalion in the United States Army. There's something that certainly we can do. No, Mrs. Hurd, she is going to die. I will never forget the day that I sat in St. Louis Children's Hospital and 9, I repeat the number, 9 neurologists sat in that room with my daughter who was dying, and she was dying. And they said, Mrs. Hurd, you are barking up the wrong tree. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what's best. I walked out of that hospital with my little girl. And I went to the university in St. Louis, Washington University Medical School, and I presented myself to the librarian and said, hey, I have an undergrad degree in Spanish. I know nothing about the medical field, but I was told my little girl was going to die. And then I was told that for medical science, they wanted to do a liver biopsy on her on a weekly basis so they could see how a little girl dies of poisoning. They're very painful, by the way. And I presented myself to the librarian and I said, hey, I don't know anything about the medical field, but my little girl is dying. And I have to learn everything that I can about chlorpyrifos and about Dursban 2E and what I can do to recover a liver with liver enzymes that are off the charts. We were working in a world of microfiche then. There was no putting into Google what are all the scientific studies. I spent weeks in that library. I read everything from snake oil remedies to the newest research in the NIH. And I came up with my own plan. But all those doctors said, you don't know best, Mrs. Hurd. Let us use this little girl for medical research. And I came up with my own plan. And I learned a lot about the enterohepatic recirculation pattern. And I learned a lot about halogens and what chlorpyrifos could do. And I came up with my own plan. And I implemented it. And my little girl, who was 18 months old then, is now in her 30s. And she lived. And every doctor that I had talked to, St. Louis Children's Hospital, I need you to know, they came back to me, chief administrator of the hospital, and said, Mrs. Hurd, please don't sue the hospital. We're really sorry. We should have run. I begged them to run a cholinesterase level to test her liver enzymes so that I could prove that she was indeed poisoned. They said, no. And they finally did, and they asked me not to sue them. They asked me not to sue those 9 neurologists for insisting to let my little girl be in a medical experiment. She's alive today. And it's because this parent knew best. And I don't ever want to hear from anyone that parents don't know best. Do we have parents that make mistakes? Do we have parents that are on drugs? Do we have parents that do wrong things? We have that all over society. But to take away the rights of the parent is absolutely wrong. The vote is yes, Mr. Speaker.